everyone, so today I'm going to be doing another buy or buy on a Korean foundation. So the one I'm going to be reviewing today is from Peripera, one of my favorite Korean brands. This is called the Airy Ink Foundation. So I'm going to go through and show you guys my application technique, show you a before and after of my skin of what this looks like on, and I will give you guys my overall thoughts and opinions on whether I think this foundation is worth it or not. So it looks like this. It comes in a plastic kind of frosted packaging of this. It looks really nice, even though it's not glass. It has that look of like a frosted glass, but it's also a little bit more lightweight, so it's not as heavy. Mine is in the color number 1 Ivory, and there are 3 different colors that this foundation comes in. Number 1 is Ivory, number 2 Beige, and number 3 is Sand. I will insert a color chart here to kind of give you guys a better idea of what the 3 colors look like. This foundation is 30 milliliters of product, and it also contains SPF 30. So as usual, I got mine from Rosa's shop. I actually bought this quite a few months ago. I only just now gotten around to filming my review video for this one because I've been trying so many different foundations over the past few months. And this one, I can't remember what exactly I paid for it at the time that I bought this, but I know that now the price when I checked today was $8.35 for this foundation. So I think that's definitely a really reasonable price for a foundation. So another thing about this foundation, it does have a slight scent to it. This one is much more of like a kind of like a light powdery, like baby powder kind of scent to it. I can definitely smell it when I'm applying it to my face, but once it has set and I'm wearing my makeup, I don't really smell it at all throughout the day. So as far as like scents go, it's definitely a scented product, but I would say it's very on the like low end of like how strong the scent is. So if you're someone who just doesn't want any scent to it at all, then just know that this foundation does have a scent. Now I am actually filming this section on a different day. However, I used the exact same products to create this look. So I will get started and get into the application clip and let you guys see how I like this foundation. So this is the color Ivory. You can see it's a little bit of a more runnier kind of foundation, but definitely not too bad. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this and dot it around my face and then blend it in. And I've definitely got some breakouts going on right now with my skin, so we will see how that covers. Okay, so this is how the foundation looks on this side of my face, and this is obviously my bare skin, so you can see the difference between this one. Now, I definitely think that this one overall did even out the skin quite a bit. However, I still see quite a bit of my breakouts kind of poking through. Like I can definitely see some of that color. I can see a little bit more of the redness on my cheeks still. So this is definitely more of a lightweight or a light coverage kind of foundation rather. So I'm going to do one more light layer and see how much I can kind of build it up. Okay, so this is how it looks built up just a little bit more. It did cover a little bit more, but overall I'd still give this more of a light to medium kind of coverage foundation. I do really like the actual finish of it though, because it is more of what I would consider a satin finish foundation. So it's definitely not too glowy or too dewy or wet, but it's definitely not a complete matte flat type of foundation. So I'll zoom in really quickly so hopefully you can get a better look at the texture between my skin and the foundation. Okay, so this is the side with the foundation on it. And then this is the side that is my bare skin. So I think you can probably see what I mean. There is just a little bit of, you know, color still peeking through from my blemishes. I have just been having a rough week with my skin lately. But yeah, so far I do really like this foundation. I just think it's definitely not a super full coverage one. And this is the foundation all over my face. So this is how the foundation overall looks on my skin. I, number one, have to say I really do like this foundation a lot. And even though I do review quite a few foundations and stuff, especially back to back, I can definitely tell the little minor differences between these foundations. And this is definitely one I really like and I could see myself using. And if I was going to compare this foundation to another one that I've tried recently, I'd say it reminds me a lot of the Etude House Double Lasting Original Foundation. Now I do have to say that the Peripera one is nowhere near as full coverage as this one. I would say this is like a full-on full coverage foundation. This one I would give more to like a light to medium buildable foundation. I definitely think I had to apply about like 2 solid layers of this to get a super really like full coverage kind of look, but it is very buildable, but it's also can be a little bit more sheared out if that is how you prefer to wear your foundation. And I would definitely consider the finish of this to be a much more like velvety kind of matte finish. It definitely doesn't have too much shine to the foundation itself. All this glow is just coming from my actual highlighter, and I did not powder my face at all, but my face has this feeling of like just having a really nice set foundation, almost like I did a very fine dusting of powder all over my face. However, I did not. The only place I applied powder, as usual, is just right under my eyes where I apply my concealers. So I definitely think that this foundation could be really well suited for people who have more of an oilier skin type, because it does have a bit more of that matte and like almost powder-like finish to it. It's almost like a liquid to powder kind of feeling on the skin, but it doesn't feel thick or heavy, and it also doesn't feel like it would transfer very well. So we can do a little transfer test. So here is my phone. You can see there's not too much anything on here, and if I'm talking on the phone, you know, kind of simulating what that would be like, and I pull it off, pretty much, you know, really clean. Like there's like teeny tiny bits of foundation on here, but I think that's just inevitable with any type of foundation. But yeah, I would say that was a pretty good indication that this is definitely going to be a foundation that really stays on the skin. Another thing about the packaging I love is that it does have a pump. That's my favorite type of packaging for foundations. I feel like it's just the easiest way to get the most amount of product and be able to be very consistent with how much product you're dispensing without like wasting any, or, you know, contaminating the product, or, you know, anything like that. As far as this foundation, I feel like I do actually have to use a little bit more of it than what I feel like I would typically use from other foundations. I use about like a full to like a full and a half pump of this foundation to do my entire face, which is definitely a little bit more than I typically use. I feel like most of the time I can get away with like 1 full pump of foundation, and that's more than enough to cover my whole face. But this one I do have to build it up just a little bit to kind of get a little bit more coverage, especially on my cheek area or anywhere that I have breakouts at the moment. So I did find that I had to use a little bit more foundation than usual. So for who I would recommend this foundation for, I definitely think a wide range of skin types could use this product, because I have very dry skin and I find that this is very comfortable on my skin. It's not overly dry, it's not wet by any means, but I do think it would be suited a little bit better towards people who have oilier skin, because it does have that more of like a powdery kind of finish and dry down to it, and it is a little bit more matte. So I definitely think it could be really good for those types of people. And I feel like if you have like moderate discoloration or any kind of acne that you want to hide, I feel like this overall does a really good job. I did a review not too long ago about the Misha foundation, the Skindation. That one is really like, if your skin is not near flawless to begin with, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of coverage out of that one. So if I was going to kind of like rank those 3, I would say from least amount of coverage to most amount of coverage. For least, it would have to be the Misha Skindation. For a moderate amount of coverage, it's going to be the Peripera, and if you want full-on coverage, it would be the Etude House Double Lasting Foundation. So if you've actually tried this foundation and you really like it, but maybe the scent is either just too strong for you, or it's just a little bit too much coverage for you, I feel like this is a very comparable type of foundation to where you do get a good amount of coverage, but not quite as much as this one. Like, I feel like I could totally blank out my face with like, you know, 1 solid pump of this, and like, I could just blank it all out. This one, it still retains a little bit more of that coverage, but not going too far as like a mask-like one, which I feel like this one could kind of take you there. So if you've tried this one and you feel like it's maybe just a little bit too much, then this could be a really similar type of foundation formula, but just a little bit less coverage. It's also just a couple bucks cheaper than the Etude Double Lasting Foundation. Now this one's only about like $12 or so it's really not a huge difference, but you know, hey, like $4 or so, that can make a difference to some people. And another foundation from Peripera that I have reviewed before is the Skin Tint one. Now that one definitely has a lot less coverage than this foundation. I feel like this one is definitely a step higher, like coverage wise. So if you really like that foundation, but you want with just a little bit more coverage and from the same brand, then I would definitely recommend this one. So overall, I really like this foundation. I definitely would recommend it. And like I said, I have dry skin and it works just fine for me. But of course, you know, a lot of people have different needs and concerns, but overall, I think it's just a well-rounded foundation and it's one that I look forward to using more often. So yeah, I would definitely give this a buy. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram, link is below, and until my next video, I will talk to you guys later.